Hello. Pyroblast, first in chat. Hello. How is everyone doing today? Tired. Feels like it's the word of the pandemic, right? It's like, how are you doing today? I'm tired. Next day, how are you doing today? I'm tired. I'm tired too. Happy Wednesday. You missed your favorite streamer. Discord is working now. Did it go down again today? I know it was out yesterday. Aw, that is so sweet, Frosty. Thank you. Oh, you know what helps? Being in the game. There we go. So I'm going to continue. I started this game yesterday for a different class. I am on the PC today. Um, so I go back and forth between the PC and the PlayStation 4, depending on which game is best for what I'm talking about. What? Hey. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro to this game, since you did miss the first, I don't know, 30 minutes of play or whatnot. So this is a game made by and for, uh, oh, I'm still in the tutorial, um, Alaskan Native children. Uh, and it is based off of, oops, and I died. Um, it's based off of a story from their culture. Um, and you can unlock little videos even by progressing through the game. And I remember doing this yesterday, so I must have forgotten to save game or something. I like the art style too. I think that this game is just beautiful. Um, but yeah, that's the backstory here. There's obviously some more details. There's a blizzard. She's trying to save her village. The game is called Never Alone. So, and I forgot to jump because I was looking at chat. So yeah, highly recommend it if you've never played before. Yeah. So before we get into the topic for today, I want to have a little discussion about success in online classes. Now, this is something that I used to always talk about at the beginning of this class, because this class being online predates the pandemic. But then I stopped doing that. Select a second controller, Q to switch. Because I just kind of thought, okay, well, everyone's used to being remote now, right? So I don't have to do that. But it's been brought to my attention that that's not true, that I still should talk about this. So first and foremost, the discussion sections are in 3 different modalities. And that right there is the main reason why when you ask me certain types of questions about like when something is due, I tell you to ask your TA, because the different modalities by necessity have to have different due dates. And so it's really imperative that you keep track of that. Which leads me into the next thing about success in an online class. And that is that um, it takes an extra amount of effort in um, what's what I'm looking for? Like management skills, I guess, is the best way I can think of it. Like you have to pay more attention to uh, what's going on, what's to self-discipline. That's a good way to do it. It takes good self-discipline. Um, and the reason that is because, and a lot of times I think people don't even realize this, but you get a lot of information by just being in proximity to other people. You hear people talk about like things that are due or not due, passing in the halls or sitting in class that you just don't get when you're online, right? So that's what you have to pay attention to. Now, in theory, I would like Discord to kind of help with that, right? So, ideally, I would like everyone to use Discord, oops, like on the regular, even if it's just a chit chat, right? Like socialization is a part of school, so do it. As a part of that, I have added a Me Six Packs to the Discord. Some of you already noticed that this morning, and that is there for funsies. It will not affect your grade. Um, it's just a thing to play with while also allowing me to kind of track participation in Discord. Again, not that that would affect your grade, but so that I can see what's being used and how often it's being used, right? Now, along those lines, it has also been brought up to me that occasionally um, people are sometimes having some difficulty relating readings to the assigned games. Does this? Oh, I can make it. Yay. Um, and this is actually going to come back to Discord and how to be successful in online games. So unlike in a regular classroom where you would probably only get to know the 20 people in your discussion section, um, um, because of the Discord, you all can access basically everybody, right? And so if you think about it for your discussion sections or for your um, discussion leads, on any given week, there are 10 or 11 other people doing that same presentation and are also probably trying to figure out, well, how does this game relate to the reading? So I can include that in my presentation. And you can talk to those people. You can go into the general channel. You can go into homework help. In fact, homework help is a great way to do this, right? And ask. Oops, 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 oops. And I died. Ooh, no. So one of the things that we don't talk about in this class, but is a concept in learning and education, is community-based learning. And if you have a community, if you have peers and other people that you work with, it makes learning easier because that's basically a whole bunch of people that you know that you can network with. Um, and to help you. Make sense? So, ooh, ooh, um, there does not seem to be an audio clue, but it seems to come at regular intervals. So that's an interesting idea of is games helping a generational issue. Where's the A button? Okay, I need to do this and then that. I would argue that this is only a generational issue in the sense that, at some point, if you take, say, my mom didn't grow up with video games, right? So she doesn't go to them for, I don't actually understand what I'm supposed to do here. Oh, there we go. So I don't think that, people who didn't grow up with great games necessarily think about it, and so they wouldn't go to them for help with things. So all of your assignments, with the exception of discussion participation, is on the assignments page. There are spaces for discussion participation on the assignments page, but again, discussions have to be done differently for different modalities, and that's why they get changed the way that they do. Oof, the cat in the left corner is a bot. Oh, no. Hold on. But I will say this, my answer for the generation question is kind of just a guess, because I don't do generational research. Come up here, girl. There we go. Yes, it is a Kappa. So I think it's interesting, this comment. I'm going to just pause here for a second, actually. I have doubts about the connection between the assigned game this week and the reading material. As far as I know, the connection between them lies in the enhancement of vision and visual attention, because in the game, we need to lock down certain special events to make news, but beyond that, I can't think of any other connection. Is there any closer connection between them? Yeah, so I understand that the article, like in the middle, really focused on the idea of like visual acuity and whatnot. But if you look at the broader scope that is presented in both the introduction and the conclusion, um, it goes much further than that. Yeah, so a lot of people got confused by the game this week, which is interesting to me. I actually thought that this one was the most obvious out of a lot of them. Um, so, for example, so here, I'm just going to take it down to one quote. On page 51, so this is like only the second um, page of the article. And this was actually a point I was going to get to later in the lecture, but since it's already been asked, it says, Video game play may produce more fundamental changes in the way players see the world and process information. So if you think about it in a video game, changing the way you see the world or the way you understand something or process information, think about it in terms of that. Now tell me how you think the reading, specifically that part, relates to the assigned game for this week. Yes, I can say that one more time. So it started with, um, so I'm trying to get you to think about this question of how the relating relates to the game without me just telling you the answer, although I eventually will tell you the answer. And that was in relation to the quote on page 51. And I'm chopping the sentence down a little bit because space, but video game play may produce more fundamental changes in the way players see the world and process information. Now, if you isolate that quote and don't think about the visual acuity that a lot of people are talking about, thinking about that quote, how does this relate to the assigned reading for, or the assigned game, excuse me, the assigned game for this week? And this is for a credit. Here's a participation credit. Let's do it. Yes. All right. Bucky Badger hit it on the nose. This is why I chose this game even, right? So Bucky says, I think that the assigned game hits significantly on how conceptions of the world can change. At the beginning of the game, everyone is happy and peaceful, and through pictures that were taken, um, I gotta pause chat or I'm gonna lose it. Um, Based on the pictures that the player takes, it changes the perception of the characters to become angry and more hostile, much as media, such as video games, can change how the player views the world. So, not even just video games, right? So, this game was meant to be a critique on like mainstream media, like news, etc., right? Um, and so, whoa, what did I just do? Oh, there we go. Oh, now I'm not going to be able to get back into the game. Serious? There we go. Um, I really dislike it when I can't see where I need to jump. Um, right, because it does. And we know that this is true, right? So if you watch Fox News versus MSNBC, you are going to have two very different views of the world. Like you will literally see and understand the world in different ways based on those two things. And that is what that game was critiquing and talking about. Um, I find it interesting too that people are bringing up this idea of like it'll rot your brain. Not that it doesn't exist, but maybe this is wishful thinking, but I had kind of hoped that that was an idea that was maybe not around anymore. Um, because that's definitely an idea that I grew up with. Like, not that I believed it, but that people around me, um, the adults around me, were like, yeah, you shouldn't play so much. It's going to rot your brain. Um, all right, but let's back up for a second because I don't want to skip like the full first part of the lecture that I was going to talk about. Jumping around is fine. It was a good question. But the so to start with, this article, I have a very love-hate relationship with this article, I'll be real honest. Because there's some parts I really like about it, which is why I sign it. There's also a lot of parts I really hate it. And one of them is actually the introduction. So the introduction makes a very capitalist argument. They're claiming that video games are valuable because of the level of revenue, 60 billion per year. That it can be considered art because our culture already decided that art is valuable, and that also games can be tools for education, training, and therapy, etc. I.e., the idea is that um, something or someone is only valuable if they are productive. Um, but and this is why I don't like it, I would argue that that is not true. I think that the idea that something has to be productive in order to be valuable is ridiculous. Now, why do I say this? How long is the average workday? It's 8 hours. If productivity was the end-all be-all, of what is good and valuable, then why would we only work 8 hours? Why wouldn't we just work 12 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours? Right? We don't do that because it's unhealthy. And caring for oneself, in and of itself, I would argue, is valuable. I mean, yeah, for sure. Just work 24 hours. But we don't. Why? Because it doesn't work. A and left shift. Woo. Yeah, Pyroblast. Exactly. Okay, so I think um yes. All right. There is Belgium just put in a 4-day work week. All right, that's it. I'm moving to Belgium. Ugh, I'm here for it. Who's coming? um, all right. Just had the ridiculous thought. I'd be like, we just have the 277 video games commune. Oops, let's not. Ooh, I remember this part, and I'm probably gonna die at least once before I actually get through. Um, I did see the note about next week's game not working on Max. So that's definitely the type of thing that you want to tell me in Discord, so that I can address it, as opposed to during lecture when I can't address it because I'm trying to. Oh, 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 and then I died because I'm trying to do actual lecture. Anyways, this also relates to G's principles. Oh no. Yeah, I'm really bad at this part. Um, no. So you have to run back and forth so as to make sure that you don't get hit. I'm very bad at this. Oops. So here, they like tell you where you should be, and I'm still bad at it. Um, there we go. Yeah, so back to G's principles. So video game play may produce more fundamental changes in the way, oh, wait. That was what we just talked about. See, here's we jump around too much. Um, can anyone, oh, so the original discussion question I wanted to say along the quote that I gave you guys earlier, um, was can anyone think of another game that changes the way you see the world? And can you tell me how? Like, explain the view that it changed. So, I mentioned how the game for today that was assigned did that. Tetris changes how you pack bags. That's kind of ridiculous, but also it definitely changes the way that I load my dishwasher. And let me tell you, I can get way more dishes in the dishwasher than my roommate can. I don't know where I'm supposed to go because I was looking at chat rather than listening to the narrator. I guess this way. But you guys know that that's not what I mean, right? You guys know that. This is just going backwards, isn't it? Or is this actually the way I want to go? So, yeah, Nikki Boo, that's true, but that's also what I said 5 minutes ago. So that's not going to count as an answer to this question. I forgot the controls. So that's a good one. I never thought of that. Life has changed, taught you how to be more thorough in your research because small bits of information can wind up being very important. Okay, so it's not that button. Is it this button? This button. This button. Oh my gosh. I literally have to look it up. I'm sorry. Interact is left shift. That's what I was pressing. Left shift first and then the move. Okay, so it moved too fast for me to see the whole thing, but somebody had just mentioned that you don't think the whole argument was about productivity. I agree with you. And this is why I say I love hate this article, but I still assign it. Um, this article is really not about productivity at all. And I have also written articles where I have introductions that are just like this. And the reason why is because it's so common for that type of argument to work well enough that you will then get your piece published, that it is something that you basically do to placate the publisher. And it annoys me that we have to do that in this day and age. That's really what I mean by that. I feel like we should be past it by this, but it is clickbait. It is academic clickbait. And it annoys me that we have to do that. I feel like we should be better than that. Oh, this is also another hard one. So, cool. That is an excellent example, apparently, Bree, about Overwatch. So I used to assign it. There's an article, I don't remember where it was published, um, and this guy explained why he put World of Warcraft on his resume, because he was a guild leader, and then talked about how it taught him about managing people and about uh, like how to be a leader at work, like literally leading a raiding guild. Whoops, helps him be a better employee. It is a lot of work. Like leading GameStop is no joke. Come on, I totally there we go. Do you notice the snow does a little backtrack just before the big wind comes? See, it does that, and then yeah, there it is. Visual cue. Oh, how are we gonna do this? Can I like get it through the hole? Oh, yep. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now I get it. Wait, let me up here. Wait, the fox needs to come too. There we go. So I will give this one more minute and then we're going to cut off the questions to this, the answer to this question, excuse me. Remember I mentioned this last week, how there's going to be a time point at which answers will no longer be accepted. And for today, no more answers after 3:07. Good job, everybody. But we do need to make sure that, the conversations move on. We don't get stuck. Oops, down, 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 down. Oh, there we go. All right, so a game that I would bring up that does this is Civilization. Now, normally I play Civilization for this class when we do the History Week, although this semester I think I'm going to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla instead. We'll see. But I want to talk about Civ here because I think that it can change the way. Um, uh, Oof, I gotta run. Um, yes, Civilization. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. I need two hands with this. Ah! So here's the thing. So civilization is set up to make you believe that certain political choices necessarily lead to certain outcomes. Crap. Um, it suggests that certain aspects of civilization or society lead to certain results, and that political strategies have defined outcomes. Oh, crap. I get this guy makes me nervous, and then it's hard to concentrate. And that political strategies have defined successes and failures, i.e., it's a very deterministic look at history, right? And so you could easily come out of that game, even on a subconscious level, thinking or having your belief reconfirmed that, oh, well, obviously this is the better form of government, or if you do this, you can't be as advanced, right? But history, like, didn't have to happen the way it did, right? Um, there are any sort of variables or alternate endings or alternate modern times that we could be in right now, um, depending on how things might have panned out or changed in ways that we can't necessarily know. Um, uh, but Civ, like in some ways it does that, but in other ways it doesn't, because there's certain things that they have, like if you choose the democracy path, that means something about what religion or shrines or whatever will do for you, versus if you choose other um, uh, political choices. Yes, 100%. I mean, that's a great way. You're doing a really good job of summing up my long explanations today, BDTD. Civilization is just as much a victim of the winner decides the tale of history problem as historians can be. And that is exactly what I'm trying to get at. Um, Civilization makes it seem natural that the world is the way it is because of what happened in the past. Um, and when things seem natural, then you think that it is correct. And you think that it is immutable and unchangeable. And this can be a very dangerous idea, right? Um, Obviously, there are some things that as a society we all agree on is natural, right? If you put seeds in dirt and give it water, it grows. This is the way nature works. Um, but people have also had ideas that they have called natural or that to them seem natural that are not, um, right? So, for example, the idea that some categories of people are naturally better or worse at things, whether that be because of gender, race, whatever. So, here's the thing with history. Um, Okay, so we have two very good points that I want to address here. That the limitations of video games is designed by the designer, and that history itself is more random than games, but in the case of history in the past, would we consider the events immutable, but are recounts of the events mutable? So there's two things kind of going on here, right? So we can't go back and change the past, so the past is immutable. Is the fox gonna like make it over here? Um, Woo! Damn it. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a very cringy thing to say. about racism, but that is how people, defended those ideas. Yes, it's unnatural and it is cringeworthy and it is horrible, um, but it's also, a good example of why it's dangerous. Okay, back to the event. Oh, whoop, there we go. Being immutable. So the accounts are mutable, right? Because as was pointed out earlier in chat, the winner decides the tale of history, right? So were the founding fathers of the United States patriots or were they traitors? Doesn't that kind of depend on your view? Or how about the Puritans? Were they religious freedom fighters or were they religious zealots? Right. Ask somebody who grew up in Europe once about the Puritans, and they will tell you a very different tale from what we are taught in the United States. Oh, damn, the bear. And this is where you see me die some more. Um, and my point here is not to say, you know, patriot or traitor or whatever. My point is simply that these are different viewpoints that people have, and it kind of um, so our perspective of history is mutable. That is my point there. Yes, that is very true. The emergence of racism is to divert people away from class conflict because in reality, people within the same class have more in common with each other than they do with people of the same race, which is really just kind of a fake idea of a different class, right? Which is totally true. I have way more in common with a black person who lives in my neighborhood than I do with like Bill Gates. Do I? Oh, shit. Do I not do that? Not do that. What is carpool tunnel? I don't. No, I jumped. I jumped. Er. Where the carpool people go? I. Uh. I assumed you meant carpal tunnel. I just was playing. I don't know. Wait, I got an idea. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm gonna piss it off. I don't know. Oh, my shoulders is where. Oh no. Oh no. I'm just gonna die here. I don't know what to do. Um. Maybe. Oh, I got an idea. Can I? No. Yeah, I was gonna try to jump over the bear just now. But then oh, and then it helps you. Okay, but then what do I do? Do I jump back? Because I can't go forward. The fish come! You cannot ride the bear. I have tried that in past iterations of me playing this game. Okay, so let's stay here and make sure we get on the fish. Yes, fish. Be the bear, new mount. But I don't have a saddle, therefore I can't mount it. Whew. And we survived somehow. That was amazing. That is crap. I jumped. Whew, there's no time to relax. No kidding. That was like, where's my heart at? Not as much as I thought it would be. Um, cool. All right. There is, I did have a couple more discussion questions. Do I see educational value in horror games? I mean, potentially. It depends on the game, right? So I don't think that this is really a thing where you can say across the board, X genre is good educational value. I think that that would depend on the game. Um, I hope that little guy gets over here quickly. All right, good, 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 good. All right. Yeah, I agree. Any game could have educational value. That just so wholly depends on the game. I'm just gonna wait here because that's a long one. Um, I'm trying to think right now of a game, of a horror game that I think has educational value. And I can't think of one off of the top of my head. But that, again, doesn't mean they don't exist. It's just that I can't think of one right now. I do love a good horror game, but I've played very few. Um, if my roommate was here, she would potentially be able to think of one. She's super into horror games. Um, hmm. I don't recommend crash landing a helicopter ever, let alone in a cult-infested woods. That sounds like a bad idea, man. Oh god. All right, this is gonna be the worst. Um, so this is like a boss battle we're entering, which is why I'm just gonna pause for a minute, take a sip of tea, prepare myself, and get the next discussion question queued up. Um, so the last big discussion question that I had for today, like pre-written, doesn't necessarily mean it will be the last, but uh, this is an easy one. So if you didn't get any credit yet, you can do this one. It comes from page 53, and it's going to relate this back to G's learning principles. Um, and what I want you to tell me is, what is the zone of proximal, oops, I want to be the fox. What is the zone of proximal development, and how, and which of G's principles does it relate to? Resident Evil tells you to wash your hands frequently. Did I do that wrong? Whoa, that's not how I wanted to do. The question was, what is the zone of proximal development and which of G's principles does it relate to? Oh man, come on. Ah, crap. I was so close. I was so close. Ooh. Yeah, I need to get that guy. Oh, nope. Whoops. Oh, that's not what we wanted to do. Nope, that was bad. Yeah! This is really not good because now there's not enough space there. I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm not entirely sure how to get this like at this point, right? So first of all, you should turn around. There we go. Yikes. Maybe with the fox in the far left corner and then throw stuff the bear very quickly. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can. Like, that's obviously what the game is telling me to do, but I don't know how to switch that quickly. The bear gets up! Oh, God. Okay. Alright, so I've not been responding because I've been trying to not die to this bear boss, but basically everyone's been correct with the zone of proximal development. It is pleasantly frustrating, and it's about keeping the player at that point at which um, they are at the edge of their ability. There we go. Yikes. Sorry, my notebook just went to sleep. First world problems of a digital notebook. Just stay hydrated. That's right. Psh. channel points. Drink. Now, this idea of pleasantly frustrating often reminds me of Dark Souls. Let me tell you why. Dark Souls is a great game. It's not for everybody, right? And there's a point in G's book. He's got a W. So not from the article that you guys had to read, but in his book where he talks about how very often somebody will, do I want to get up or do I want to be in the water? I'm not sure. They'll say they want to get into video games or something, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, here, play Dark Souls," or maybe it's not Dark Souls, right? Maybe it's some other, um, game, right? That's like very complex, and difficult, and then that person turns around and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm bad at video games. I don't want to do this anymore," right? And the problem is not that they're bad at video games, of course. The problem is that Dark Souls shouldn't be the first one that you play, right? Um, you got to start somewhere else. Um, and interestingly enough, my roommate and I were actually just talking about this today. So my roommate is very, um, oops, is very so-so about video games. She's not a big fan. And this morning, she was just telling me about how the first game she ever played was Mass Effect. And she wonders if the first game she'd ever played had not been Mass Effect, if maybe she would feel differently about video games. Like maybe she would have been more into it. Yeah, and of course, nobody's saying that Mass Effect is a bad game. Like that's not it, right? But it's not the game that you want to play first. That's not a good idea, right? Um, yeah, so I hadn't thought of Portal before as a good recommendation, but I actually think you're right now that you mention it. It's also something that I think is easy to understand if you are not used to um, these types of worlds. Oh God, am I okay? Am I dying? I don't actually know what's happening here. I think I go back in the water. Is she gonna come? Yeah. Okay. So what I mean by like the game worlds is when you have um, like any large open world game, like somebody I know was mentioning, what was it, Forbidden West or whatever, Horizon Zero Dawn, whatever that next one is, um, and like somebody who's not accustomed to um, these large game worlds and how to navigate them is also going to have a lot of trouble in something like that, right? Forbidden West, thank you. Because it's just difficult to navigate, right? It's kind of like being, hmm. What I was going to say is it's kind of like finding yourself suddenly in a foreign country and not knowing your way around. All right, let's try that again. Because not necessarily knowing like street signs or, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's try that again. So I'm not pressing the like turnaround button. I'm not sure why she keeps doing that. Yeah, so it can really help you to like learn how to navigate space, having that linear type lab instead of being lost and not knowing where to go and not knowing what signs and symbols mean, the way that somebody who is into video games will, right? Like the first time I picked up Witcher, I immediately associated the um, the signs with using magic because that's a common trope in a lot of fantasy where you have these signs that trigger magic, right? And so it made sense that that's what it was. But somebody who is not familiar with that trope is, maybe not going to know that. Oh yeah, controlling the camera can be the worst, seriously. Well, yeah, and then, oh wow, where did it go? There was a thing there. Am I dead now? Oh, where's the little guy? There we go. What? No. What are you doing? No, I can't have you here. The cat's trying to join the game. Thank you. All right, so I think, yep, need to come down. Need to get her on. And I need this guy to be over here. There we go. WESD? That's so weird. Okay, no, that's already broken, so I'm fine. Whoa! Didn't mean to do that. Only 2 finger for movement keys instead of 3. How does that work? You still have 4 keys. Okay, I think I get it now. I don't know that I would like that. But I'm also fully trained in the muscle memory of WSAD. Alright, she gets up. And then I'm not jumping up to that. Okay, I think I get it now. I mean, on a high note, if you fail enough times in this game, right, then the game tells you what to do. So that helps. Um, all right, but so so the last bit about what kind of game that you would recommend to a newbie that we talked about was actually the last bit I had for lecture today. So we have about 6 minutes. If anyone has questions, let me know. Now's the time. While I sit here and die. So okay, give me 1 second. So the Mac download you're saying is not working? Because here's what I see, right? Okay, good. So Jujuman, that's an interesting question. How does the use of perspective, third person versus first person, change how we view the world, similar to the other discussion from earlier? So I have heard people talk about this and say that if they are in first person perspective, the argument is that you will identify differently with the character that you're playing versus third person. Um, this is one of those things that varies per person, though. Um, so I personally can't play in first person perspective because I will get motion sickness. Um, so I have no firsthand experience with this to know if it's true or not because I will get sick fast enough that I don't have time to identify with the character at all. Um, I have tried VR games and I'm fine. Um, I've only tried 3 VR games though. Um, so let's see. I have done Beat Saber and I've done Super Hot. Super Hot is like my favorite. Um, I don't know if placebo effect works here. Um, yeah, a third person VR game would feel really weird. So actually what I think it is I think it is for the same reason some people get sick on boats. It's about having your whole vision. It's about your peripheral vision. So if I'm playing a game on a screen, I see the movement here, but then in my peripheral vision, I see things that are not moving. And so that creates a disconnect. When I'm in VR, everything's moving, so my peripheral vision is blocked off, and then I'm fine. In my case, I know that this is what it is. This is not true for everybody because I know some people get sick with VR, and that being that the um, change in screen size will also affect if I get sick or not. Here's what I'm going to say about the game for next week, and share this info with your friends. At this point, um, I don't know if I will not have enough time to find a game fast enough to make it reasonable for everyone to have it to play for next week. So, um, find a friend who doesn't have a Mac, and you can screen share on Discord. And so basically, what I'm saying is find a friend to play with. Do this instead of just watching a video on YouTube, because this allows you to talk with the person you're who's screen sharing with you through the choices you're making and the gameplay, to give you a better experience, um, a little more engagement because you can have some input versus just watching. Um, I we only have 1 more minute, so rather than dying again, I'm just gonna stop here. Oops, I say as I then die. That's okay. All right, that's it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let me check real quick so I can let you know what's going on for next week. Let me get out of this unmanned window. Do do do. Ooh, next week is identity. So that's interesting. So we did have that one question. I don't remember who it was now. Sorry. Um, about first person versus third person. And that does have to do with identity, which we're talking about next week. So we're reading another piece by G. Um, it's a pretty light week, but then we're going to start talking about your final papers. And we have the library workshop. I'll talk about that next week. Um, a second person game. That would be a second person perspective game would be what we call first perspective games because you're looking through the eyes of actually another person, right? Like you play a character. But wow, that question threw me. Um, but feel free to continue those debates in the Discord. That is literally what it is there for, and play with the bots. Also, I wanted to let you know. So when it comes to things like not necessarily knowing how the games relate or whatnot, that is 100% the type of question that not only can you ask each other in the homework help channel, but you realize that if you ask that question in the homework chat channel and then you ping me, right, at and then my name, then I will get a notification and I will see it. And that is like the type of question that I would answer, right? That's my job. I'm the content expert. I'm the professor. Like, um, I uh, just wish finding out today that so many people, right, were having trouble with that is just kind of like, well, that's what the Discord's for. Ping me. I'll answer. Dating simulators for a second person? You view yourself driving through the perspective of the cops chasing you. Okay, so that would be a second person perspective. I don't think that's very common. Man, that'd be so weird. But now I kind of want to try that game. I think I'd be really bad at it. There's also a small video discussing about it. Danu, if you can share that in the Discord, I would love, 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 love to see that. Takes Two, but you can only look at yourself through your partner's screen. That would be awesome. I started playing It Takes Two with a friend of mine just before the big Omicron surge, and then we had to stop meeting up. All right, class is actually over, and we are now no longer talking about the topic. But you too, have the good rest of your week, and I will see you all next week. Bye.